Yes, we did leave off in the chamber, revealed to be maintained by Agent 3. She was about to get away with it, too. All the meddling that she'd done and the transfer of stuff, possessions, artifacts, instructions for creating time machines. She wanted to get that to alien species, or species, plural, and pin it on us because she knew that she wasn't doing the right thing. She wasn't following the rules. And we, I think, managed to thwart her, at least for a moment. But we lost Arthur in the process, sadly. We did find a post-it note. Clegman radiation site, voice 11 kilohertz. We know that refers to one of the alien species in the symbiotory. We don't know what it means that she would write a post-it note about this. Now, this is something about streaming. If I was playing this alone, it probably would have been playing more often and without having to split my concentration so much. So maybe that's something that you learn as a social broadcaster, is to try and manage your attention. Because I don't think I was absorbing much of this as thoroughly as I could have or should have. That said, let's dive back in and review. I'm sure a lot of this will appear in a different light too, now that we've been on the adventures we've been on. So we know about this, but we might get some background on the events that led up to it. So let's look at it again.
Our sponsor.
Do they use the same sponsor messages?
Gino, A Fond Remembrance is Volume 4 of G-Tex, Rock Through the Ages.
Skip ad.
The ongoing
we can
saga
skip the
of
ads.
Gage Blackwood took a frightening twist this morning
Hee.
when the agent of the Deep Time Unit broke house arrest to jump 9 years back in time. Fortunately, the illicit time jump was detected, and he was immediately apprehended by Agent 8 of the Temporal Protectorate. Although it's still not clear how and why Blackwood obtained the TSA jumpsuit, Temporal Security Agency officials did say that no distortion ripples have yet been detected, and that there is no reason whatsoever to believe that Blackwood has altered history in any way. Our Lisa Long has a report from TSA
But
Administrative
he did.
Headquarters.
No, he didn't. He just brought us to the present. Huh. You'd think that would have altered history, wouldn't you? But no, if it was predestination, then no. Because we wouldn't have existed to become the future Gage, right? If we had jumped out. But then you raise the other question of whether we're going to be returned to our own time, and then we're going to become the future Gage, and then we're going to go back in time and recruit ourselves, Unless his actions and the actions that we're undertaking now undid the need for him to jump back in the first place. And we're currently experiencing that, meddling rigmarole.
In a strange turn of events that can only be described as unimaginable, the highly decorated Gage Blackwood, better known as Agent 5 of the Deep Time Unit, has been arrested and put on trial for the crime of historical sabotage. We apologize for the lack of trial footage, but because of the sensitive nature of the material being presented, no recording equipment has been allowed into the tribunal wing of the United Ministry complex where the trial is being held. The drama unfolded 3 weeks ago when Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate discovered 4 distortion ripples while conducting an unscheduled historical scan. As it turned out, the dates of the ripples exactly coincided with times to which Agent 5 had been sent for research purposes. The agent immediately contacted his supervisors, and on their orders, 3 agents were sent to apprehend Agent 5, who offered no resistance. Later that day, more evidence was found in Blackwood's locker, suggesting that he had disobeyed Temporal Security Agency directives for personal gain. Unless deemed absolutely necessary, the TSA will not send agents to investigate or restore the distortions, as any further tampering with history may cause adverse effects, possibly even turning the ripples into full reality distortion waves.
So we know now that Gage, a few things have come into focus, right? Agent 3 seems to be the one behind everything. She was the primary antagonist here. One thing she wanted to accomplish a few things. Ultimately, her goal seems to be motivated by political and philosophical matters. She wants time travel's secrets, the secrets of creating the technology to enable time travel to be shared with other species. This is a contentious political topic, and she took rash measures to do it, and meticulous measures. She wanted to frame us for it. She seemed to, when she was chatting with us, she seemed to say that she would take the blame if she could, but that might undermine her efforts in the first place, so she had to pin it on someone. And she pinned it on her friend Gage. Gage experienced dizziness when he was going back to conduct his missions, his research missions. Presumably that's because Agent 3 was transporting back to precisely the same moments in time as he was, and that is what caused the dizziness. She took possessions from the research sites and stuffed them in Gage's locker to make it look like Gage's motive, our motive, was personal gain. That would make the crime seem more believable.
Prosecuting attorney Phil Stevens alleges that Agent 5 intentionally altered the past in 4 of the 10 time zones to which he had been sent for research purposes, his only apparent motive being personal gain. In so doing, Agent 5 would have knowingly violated Temporal Security Agency ethics, as well as the law. As temporal sabotage in any form is considered the worst possible crime against humanity, Stevens is aiming for the maximum allowable sentence.
That is quite thought-provoking, that temporal sabotage could be promoted to that level of severity, even above genocide and such. And that would be a pretty bad sentence. I guess it motivates us to solve this entire puzzle.
The burden of proof lies on the prosecution. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Gage Blackwood was responsible for the distortion ripples. There is strong evidence working against Blackwood, including both computer records that place him at the altered historical locations and contraband that was discovered in his locker. But the evidence alone is not enough to ensure a conviction. With this in mind, prosecuting attorney Stevens has directed his questioning toward eliminating other possible explanations for the ripples. Witnesses for the prosecution have included Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate, the TSA's chief technician, and the designer of the circuitry for the jumpsuit.
This is the guy that we thought might have been the one who was spying on us, and indeed he might have. We never really ruled him out, but we also can't be sure that he ever was back there messing with us, because that could also have been Agent 3. The investigation began when Agent 2 of the Temporal Protectorate ran an unscheduled manual historic... Right, he discovered that there was meddling around our research sites. A procedure normally performed twice a year to reveal any anomalies missed by the scanners faster or less sensitive automatic scan mode. Agent 2 discovered a temporal ripple that originated in the year 1050 AD. And these are the other years. These are our mission sites. Yes, yes, yes. None of the changes caused a reality distortion wave. We were originally apprehended in Tahiti. Talk about a bad day. Yeah, there is a lot to chew on as you're going through the backstory, or back to the research sites. From this, we learn that only somebody who owns a suit can use that suit. This confirms that Agent 5... Oh, I see. This confirms that Agent 5, us, that we were back in the research site. It doesn't confirm that nobody else also was. Although you'd think that they'd be able to detect Agent 3 back there. No, it's not that they're past, like it's not like they're actively detecting our suit. They're just reviewing reports that we made. And video logs, so Agent 3 could have been back there and just not volunteered her reports or made any reports. Gold ornament from Chichen Itza, jeweled orb from Chateau Gaillard, a sketch from the studio, and a signed document from... Right. And we didn't find any of those things. And so they are not the artifacts that... They're not the artifacts that were used by Agent 3 to convey information on how to build a time machine. That was a separate set of artifacts, and those are the ones that we did find. Each of them had been altered in some way, and it seems that rather than just swiping them and handing them over, Agent 3 handing them over to other alien species. Agent 3 presumably thought that wouldn't work, or that she'd be caught or something. And so her plan was to enhance the artifacts, let them exist through time, up until such a time when they would be known to be items for sale at the Louvre auction. Then all she had to do is simply tell somebody whom she wanted to have the artifacts and the information about time travel to buy them all.
INN will return.
I'm going to skip the rest of that section for now, because I think that's enough info.
La peinture fraîche.
In a late-breaking update from the technology discussions, the Kryn ambassador Icarus moments ago stormed out of the talks, apparently frustrated with the lack of progress. The conflict began when the ambassador said, quote, "Even the Kryn can no longer deny the truth of the situation and that they don't understand how anyone could defend our right to keep such a hazardous technology." Until last week, Icarus maintained the Kryn's usual position, that each race should be allowed complete autonomy over its own technologies. But their attitude changed soon after Agent 5 was arrested. Since then, the Kryn ambassador has repeatedly tried to gain the support of all the other envoys in fighting for the abolishment of time travel. When this last plea once again met with resistance, Icarus launched into a tirade, exclaiming that if they had known better, they would not have voted to let such an obstinate and naive race as humanity into the symbiotry. He then abruptly departed. The talks will go on despite the Kryn withdrawal.
Is that something that we originally saw, or is that new? I didn't quite get what the position of all the new positions of the Kryn were there, but I remember that we read about it.
The heads of ministry will continue to meet with symbiotry representatives today.
I remember this.
In the Assembly Hall of the United Ministry Complex. These talks were requested by several member races as a forum in which to discuss the place of time travel technology in the symbiotry of peaceful beings. Today marks the beginning of the third week of negotiations, yet there is still no end in sight. Sarah Michaels is standing by at the United Ministry Complex with a report.
Thank you, Mark. The main factor protracting the discussions is the inability of the symbiotry to decide what should be done with the technology. The representatives have formed three distinct factions whose strongly opposing views have caused them to remain tenaciously entrenched in a deadlock. While one group believes we are committing the unforgivable act of hoarding a vital technology, a second supports the symbiotry tenet that each race has sovereignty over its own technologies. The third contingent, which has grown in strength since the arrest of Agent 5, contends that time travel represents a threat to every race of the symbiotree and should be destroyed altogether. Even though most attending races strongly disagree with humanity's sole ownership of the technology, our heads of ministry refuse to acknowledge their arguments, citing its inevitable misuse as their foremost concern. Therefore, barring symbiotree action, it is unlikely that the status of time travel as a proprietary technology of Earth will change.
This is where we get into motives. So we have sharing time travel, denying time travel, dismantling time travel. Now, what stuck out to me that time when I listened to that was that apparently the appeal for dismantling has become more popular after Gage was arrested. But Gage was arrested because of Agent 3's meddling, and Agent 3's position is presumably sharing. So I wonder if that was backlash that she didn't anticipate.
The opinion originally held by the majority of races represented at the talks is that time travel technology is an invaluable tool for self-discovery and, as such, should not be denied to any race. However, the Loxoni abandoned this position last week in favor of destroying the technology. Presumably, this sudden change of opinion was due in large part to the arrest of Agent 5, an unfortunate illustration of the danger of time travel.
Yeah. So Agent 3 would have lost the Loxoni, for example. This is where we found information about the alien species. There are hyperlinks inline for inline hyperlinks found in these supplementary sections for the news stories. Perfectly adapted for life on a rogue multi-orbital planetoid. That's right. These are the ones that live on that rogue planet. So when we find them, let's start noting their sensory perception ranges. I think auditory ranges are listed under communication. I'm going to take a couple of notes as we rescan these things.
The opinion originally... The Dorlun and Zangtrakar, on the other hand, have continued to cling tightly to their convictions. They're of the opinion that this technology is far too important to be buried because of paranoia. Time travel, the Zangtrakar argue, is like any other powerful tool. It represents a danger only if the user doesn't have the insight to take the proper precautions. And if care is taken, there should be no reason...
All right. Slow-moving docile creatures. They're philosophical, large-brained. They can think of many things at once, but often don't. Surprisingly primitive technology. Valuable thinkers, live for 250 years. Yeah. It's good to be positive. I don't know if it's good to be positive and nothing else. So they communicate by telepathy.
The Dorlun and Zangtrakar, on the other hand, have continued to cling tightly to their convictions. They're of the opinion that this technology is far too important to be buried because of paranoia.
And they're both for sharing. Only fools are positive. Oh yes. hoarders and motivated individuals. They see and hear much like humans, except in much higher bandwidths. To us, their speech sounds like indiscriminate screeches and clicks, right? I should have been noting their transport prefixes. We might need a transport prefix. Maybe that's what we're going to have to be asked to supply. Let's get the Doyloons again. Do you remember exactly what happened at the end of Agent 3's encounter with us? Did she escape? Did she dissolve? I don't really recall what exactly happened there. I know that she was thwarted, but I feel like we blacked out and came back to life, and then we found ourselves alone.
The opinion originally held...
Did she explode? I mean, the virus infected her suit, so...
The opinion...
You know.
Despite being recently abandoned by the Kryn, two of humanity's staunchest supporters, the Sorolans and the Tsar, have continued to defend our right to autonomy over time travel technology. Like those that favor dismantling it, these two races would rather leave their past buried than risk losing it altogether. But unlike the others, the Sorolans and Tsar believe that humanity harbors a maturity beyond its years and can be entrusted with preserving the sanctity of history.
The Kryn are one of the most recent additions to the symbiotry, so they were the insect-like species that we saw during the news story just now. But they're aquatic, and they don't use tools. And the symbiotry gave them prosthetic appendages, that's right. Kryn can be likened to most of the dolphins of Earth. Interesting. And they do use Klegmar radiation. Their hearing is similar to that of humans. They often communicate vocally within a human audible frequency range. Yeah. So this is what the post-it note specifies. Transport prefix of 272. And what position did they abandon?
Despite being recently abandoned by the Kryn, two of humanity's staunchest supporters, the Sorolans and the Tsar, have continued to defend our right to autonomy over
What is their new
time
position
travel.
now then? Is it dismantle or is it share? I'm gonna say it's dismantle. But that doesn't make any sense, does it? Maybe. It depends on what Agent 3's relationship with them is. Yeah, so... Because the position that they left is that species should be able to have say over whether they share their own technologies or not. And the Kryn supposedly stormed out of the talks and said humans should never have been trusted with anything or something. I guess we'll see them mentioned here too if we need to. Let's check out the other species here. Sorolans. Our dear hosts and inviters into the symbiotry. They live for millennia. I feel like I know these guys, so. And therefore, deny. And they have a lot of the same sensory stuff as us, except they also have telepathy. And they can write.
Despite being
Yes. Most unanimously considered to be the most whimsical members of the symbiotry, heterogeneous race. Length from 0.25 meters to as large as 6 meters. They're huge. Completely overlooked by the Tsar, very fraternal with each other. Adhere to any surface, nor any orientation, gravity, or no. Humans eat very few reptiles. Yeah, not quite so many. I wonder if impossible reptiles are good. These are the jokers, yes. They're easy to spot at a symbiotry meeting. They're the ones sitting on the floors and walls. Also, the Advanced Biotechnology Department. Are these the ones that are just blobs, or is that a different? Hello? There you are. And what is their position? Their position is deny. Are these the ones that I was suspecting might be the sentient blobs on the space station? Even though they looked like something that Arthur was explaining were like space station airbags, a safety measure?
Despite being recently abandoned, in fact, they suggest that our closeness to our violent past makes us even... Our benefactors, however, dismiss the Elliot Sinclair and Gage Blackwood incidents as aberrant acts by disturbed individuals. The third viewpoint, which was originally held only by the Unwa, is that the existence of time travel technology represents a threat to the history of every race in the symbiotree. For this reason,
little is known about the Unwa, different from others in physiology. One evolves differently and is always changing. They can hardly be, yeah, right. They can change to whatever shapes. Not to be confused with shape-shifting organisms. The Unwa. Yeah, so I'm not sure which species I thought might have been around the space station.
the third viewpoint, which was originally held only by the Unwa, they were joined by the Kryn, for whom this represents
and
a
the Kryn
break
did change
in
to
their
dismantle.
long-standing tradition of fervently supporting every race's right to sovereignty over its own technologies. The Loksoni now proclaim that if not destroyed, the technology must at the very least be put in the safekeeping of an elder race of the symbiotree. They cite security as their main concern.
Yes, I think you're right, Lexi. So what do we think then? Who was Agent 3 trying to get the artifacts to? Was it the Kryn who purportedly think that time travel should be dismantled? If so, and they actually want time travel, then that stunt by the ambassador mentioned in the news story must have been a stunt, an act. But I think we might get this information when we review the news story about the Louvre and the species of the buyer, who I think was an alien, right? Non-human species?
They were... Despite the arguments made by the symbiotree envoys, the general opinion of the heads of ministry so far appears unswayed. Michael Rozhenko of the Northwest Asia Collective rebutted that the danger of time travel falling into the wrong hands and being used to change history, however slight, is still too great to even consider releasing the technology.
I see, so Agent 3 wasn't going to get her way.
It must be realized that time travel has not only the power to unlock the secrets of history, but also unparalleled potential for destruction.
Got it.
Chancellor Allen emphasized his point by attesting that if all known time travel technology were destroyed...
Got it. So, it looked like the way that things were going is that Deny was going to win. And that it would be deemed that species would be allowed to protect their own technology, rather than having to share it. Agent 3's own motive seems to be not too dissimilar to Elliot Sinclair's. She is a researcher for the Deep Time Unit, and her research and the horrors that she saw persuaded her that sharing time travel technology was the best way to circumvent, prevent, or combat such measures. And I think her logic was that humans would be less likely to keep doing the kind of thing that she was seeing if other species also had time travel and it wasn't like an elite thing that was just for humans. Alright, so that's all for our alien review segment. Let's see if we can get the information about who the buyer was.
INN will return after a word from our sponsor.
Think we've seen this enough times?
In a last-ditch effort to stay afloat, the Louvre Art Museum held an auction of unprecedented scale yesterday. The museum was forced to sell off many of its older collections to pay off creditors and to raise funds desperately needed for renovations to the facility. In a fervent display of support, the art community rallied around the historic landmark, showing that the museum itself is every bit as valuable an artifact as any of the works of art it contains. The auction was an astounding success, raising 138.5 billion credits, easily surpassing the 100 billion credit goal. This windfall was due in large part
At least the
to
Lou's
one
okay.
generous bidder who preferred to remain unidentified. Martin Walker is standing by with a live report from the Louvre.
Unidentified? Oh man.
Thanks, Mark. I'm standing inside the historic Louvre Museum in Paris. Behind me sits one of the few pieces to survive yesterday's extensive art auction. Items up for auction included artifacts and works of art from many of the Louvre's oldest collections, including the Da Vinci exhibit, the ancient Egyptian, and Toltec Mayan exhibits. 4 particular items were snapped up by a generous bidder who paid much more than the asking price. The bidder's identity is unknown, but it is assumed to be an art enthusiast who didn't want to see the Louvre shut down. There are rumors, however, that the buyer may actually have been acting on behalf of another race in the symbiotry, which, according to the Earth History Preservation Act of 2322, would be illegal. We're told an investigation may follow. Museum sources that I spoke to speculated that the revenue from the auction will be enough to keep the Louvre in operation for at least the next 5 years. However, they warned me that the price of admission may go up in order to help cover operating costs. A small price to pay for such a wealth of human history and culture.
Would the Louvre's value, value as assessed, as estimated by society at large, not decrease when time travel became a thing? Museums are no longer the only way you can see the past and learn about it. Would not agents like this be going back with, not just cameras for logging their research, but, to make documentaries and snatch up thousands of hours of footage to put on into broadcast and make available? Anyway, so we don't know the identity of the alien. No, we don't know the identity of the human. And the human, I don't get the feeling that anyone can time travel. No, they wouldn't, but shouldn't the Deep Time Research Unit be collecting footage and stuff like that? That's what I'm saying. And share that with humanity, so that anyone can look at that. Anyway, so it looks like it was a human bidder, but they might have been bidding on behalf of an alien, which would be what seems like it might be the case, but it would be illegal. Yeah, but maybe it sparks an interest in history, right? Maybe. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would still be valuable, but would it be as valuable?
The events surrounding the arrest of Agent
That was a short
5
section.
bring back, for most,
Hey, bud.
memories of the Elliot Sinclair incident.
Did he change his hair?
That historic day 10 years ago could have turned out much differently if it weren't for Agent 5 of the Temporal Protectorate. After building the first ever functional time machine, only to have the government shelve the project because it was considered too dangerous, Sinclair decided to sidestep the politicians and build his own temporal transporter. Years later, when the Sorolans made contact with Earth to offer us a place in the symbiotry of peaceful beings, the xenophobic scientist suddenly found himself with a new purpose. Fearing an alien invasion, he tried to convince the public that the Sorolans were not what they appeared to be. But this endeavor met with
Never
little
quite understood what the
success.
implants are.
Frustrated, exasperated, and on the verge of insanity, Sinclair formulated a plan to make Earth a more difficult target for the Sorolans. On the day of the Sorolan ambassador's arrival, he sent each of his 3 robot minions back in time to change the course of history. The first he sent to create a nuclear scare that would prevent world unification and prolong the Cold War. The second was to destroy the Morimoto Mars colony and make it look like the work of an alien race. And the third Sinclair sent to kill Dr. Enrique Castillo, the individual who was most influential in convincing humanity of the benefits of joining the symbiotree. His backup plan, should his robots have failed, was to assassinate the Sorolan delegate. It was our good fortune that Agent 5 was on duty at the Temporal Security Annex that day. He detected the temporal distortions, stopped each of the androids, and then apprehended Sinclair himself. That fateful morning made a hero of Agent 5 and spawned the blockbuster holoflick, The Journeyman Project. Elliot Sinclair was put on trial and found guilty of all charges. He was sentenced to life imprisonment on Vega Thalon and hasn't been heard from since.
I'm going to want to review the prosecution and defense one more time. I mean, the defense, because I'd like to see Baldwin again.
In a strict
And
In the absence of an alibi or
our
any
good old
evidence proving Agent
technician
5's
friend.
innocence, defense attorney Sandra Gallagher will be setting out to show, through the testimony of character witnesses, that it is not likely Mr. Blackwood committed the crime. If the
Agent
defense
3
can
is on our
elicit
defense
some
team?
doubt of Blackwood's guilt, he
I don't
will
remember
go
this. What
free.
did she say?
Witnesses for the defense will include Agent 3 of the Deep Time Unit.
And didn't Agent 8 apprehend us in the past?
The Commissioner of the Temporal Security Agency.
And did we make a statement?
And Agent 5 himself. The defense has not yet had the opportunity to present its case. However, we have contacted
Yeah, she said we were a
both
cool
the Chief
dude.
Technician and Commissioner
Well,
of
if
the
he's
TSA
cool.
to ask them their feelings on the arrest of Gage Blackwood.
So we only have these two. Okay, let's hear from, is it Doughton?
With us now is William Doughton, the TSA Chief Technician. He joins us live from the Temporal Security Agency Administrative Headquarters. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Doughton.
Thank you, Mark.
You've known Gage Blackwood for many years, and I understand that the two of you are good friends. Do you think he's guilty?
Absolutely not. The thought that he could be guilty never even crossed my mind. I mean, friend or no, here you've got someone who's dedicated his whole life to protecting history and now stands accused of violating it. That's ridiculous. And if you don't believe me, look at his record. The man's a decorated hero. You can't overlook that fact just because it doesn't fit neatly into the story the prosecution's trying to sell.
Isn't it true you testified that no one else made a time jump to any of the altered historical locations?
No, actually I testified the scanners didn't register anyone making a time jump to those locations.
That's what we're saying.
But computers are only as intelligent as their human programmers. Now, I believe it's possible that someone could have shadowed Agent 5's jumps. If a second time traveler were to make a jump within a few seconds of the first into the same location, the chronolog scanners probably wouldn't recognize it as a second jump.
Have you been able to test this theory?
No, not yet. It's too dangerous. If two people were to travel through the same null time tunnel and land in the exact same place, well, their matter would mix and that would kill them.
And you believe that someone found a way around this?
It's possible, yes.
Okay, well, thank you for your insights, Mr. Doughton.
Yeah, that sounds like what might have happened. So, what does that mean? Future Gage reported that some of his coordinates were off, right? In other words, when we warped back to those places and times, we appeared where he did. So when and where did Agent 3 appear? Arthur thought that Agent 3 was on the Farnstein lab earlier than we were. He thought that we were the same person because he recognized the jumpsuit, but later on I think he realized that we weren't. So in that case, it seems like Agent 3 must have gone to our slated coordinates, modified them so that we, Future Gage, would have gone to the modified coordinates, because we didn't expect to appear outside the station, etc. Still not exactly sure how that works. In any case, it seems that she was trying to disguise her appearance in those regions, so that, as Doughton said, the scanners might not register her. I think that's the idea.
I have with me now Commissioner Jack Baldwin of the Temporal Security Agency, who's coming to us live from TSA Administrative Headquarters. Commissioner, thank you for joining us. Now, the first and most obvious question is, are you confident in your arrest of Gage Blackwood as the perpetrator of this crime?
We had to arrest Agent 5 because of the evidence, not because we think he did it. There was an obvious transgression. Someone was responsible for it, so we arrested the person to whom the evidence pointed. Now it's up to the courts to determine whether or not he's guilty.
So you believe he's innocent?
Absolutely. I've known Gage ever since he joined the TSA. In fact, I'm the one who recruited him. Gage Blackwood is a member of an endangered species. Gage Blackwood is a hero. He has put his life on the line many times to prevent this exact thing from happening. There's absolutely no way he would have abused his position at the risk of a single life, let alone history as we know it. No, it just doesn't make sense.
Mr. Blackwood has been an agent for quite a while now, 13 years, I believe. Is it possible that the temptation just became too great for him to bear?
No. Gage is as committed to his duty now as he was back when he apprehended Elliot Sinclair. He was, and he is, our finest agent.
Okay, let's assume for a minute that he did do it. Knowing that he would be facing life imprisonment on Vega Thalon, do you feel that he would plead guilty?
First of all, it's a moot point because he didn't do it. But, presuming he did, knowing Gage, I'd say he had a damn good reason. And he would have confessed immediately. He wouldn't have pretended innocence, not for 1 minute. Bottom line, Gage Blackwood is no criminal. Gage Blackwood is a hero.
Okay, Commissioner, it looks like we're out of time. Thank you.
That is defense. Yeah, look at you and your smug smile there, news guy whose name I forget. Too bad we can't check our messages again. Yeah, he has. I like the way he kind of pretends that he believed in us from the start. He's proud of having recruited us now. Okay, so we've done some review. So, at this point, working hypothesis. Agent 3 wanted to share time travel. Looked like that wasn't the way that society was going to take it, or the powers that be. Happy Zero Hour. And so she modified these 4 artifacts, knowing that they could be bought eventually at the Louvre auction by somebody. We don't know who the somebody was. Maybe it was even her. Maybe she came by a ton of money somehow. She could have taken more than like 3 gold coins from the Gaillard Chateau, I suppose. Anyway, the buyer got the artifacts and presumably shared them with someone. I don't know why she would only have written down these 2 things. It just seems a little bit weird to pin something on these, unless she was trying to communicate with them or something. Imagine the inflation. Yes. Yep. Late night broadcast tonight. So maybe it was a scheme to get technology into the hands of the Kryn. Maybe she was in cahoots with the Kryn from the start. She knew that... Maybe that's it. Maybe she knew that public opinion would sway, or just opinion, symbiometry opinion, would sway from deny to dismantle, or at least would tilt toward dismantle once we were arrested. And the Kryn wanted the opportunity to lower suspicion about themselves by seeming to be one of the species that was going to sway that way. Whereas in reality, they put on the show to storm out of the conference and all that. And they're going to be the ones who end up going behind everyone else's backs and receiving the information to time travel. Maybe they have some other motive. Maybe they want to use time travel for some other actually nefarious purpose. That's all I can think of. So the question remains, what do we do? Oh. Well, there's a machine here we can use now. All right. Shall we try it? What can we do? All we can do is up, down, and run program. Glass pyramid, transport code, human heart, skeleton key. Huh. Let's try some of these. That looks a lot like our Chichen Itza artifact. Is this just a holo projector? This looks a lot like Da Vinci's heart. It would be interesting to be able to know that one day your heart would figure into a story like this. That's a skeleton key? Our key? I suppose we better save, huh? Alright, transport code. Oh, hello. We're gonna run that one again and pay closer attention. I think I got it. It's like a credit card code. Thank you. Okay, but apparently we don't use that here. This is just a projector. So where do we use it? Is this a transporter over here, perhaps? Not sure what this is. Never been sure what that is. That sure looks like a transporter, but I don't know. This also looks like a transporter now that I think about it. Weren't our transporters like chairs in the past? Once again, the transition speed. Sorry about that. That's where we put the new battery to recharge the room. Good old Agent 5's hangout. Agent 5, Agent 3. So, no matter what I've tried, we haven't been able to interact with this thing. Is this like a shower? It's a bathroom. That's what it is. I see. Well, it's Agent 5's hangout now. Yeah. So can we use the transport code to get ourselves out of here? Oh, hello. Industrial matter transmitter. Touchscreen to continue. Destination address code. Is it gonna be like we can put something in it? Address represents a diplomatic orbital link. Enter proper alien prefix. Oh. 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 I think I get what we're about to do. Oh boy. Are we going to be a bit rogue? Yeah. Oh, maybe I don't get what we're gonna do. Are we gonna go in here? I think we're gonna go in here. That's what we're gonna do. Now, this looks like a transporter. Amazing I couldn't see this thing until I was in it. Once again, depth perception, folks. Time to do some deep time investigation of our own. Wait, all the investigation was our own. Or the industrial Adderall, right? Yep. Wow, could we have gone anywhere? I wonder. Better activate this thing. I'm gonna say that's quite possible. A control panel. I'm glad we can breathe, let alone survive. This was our entrance point.
Transporter pod set for organic and inorganic matter.
Okay, but I don't think we're using it. No way I can find it to interact with this. So we can go in there, we can go in here. Let's see what it says if we go here.
Transporter pod set for inorganic matter only. Transporter pod set for inorganic matter only.
There are still no controls. What is this? And this? Is there one on here? Yes, there is. Is that a control then? Maybe I wasn't looking carefully enough. Yeah, it sort of hangs off the side there.
Transporter pod set for organic and inorganic matter.
There's a button here. Eek, do we press the button? We're back. Could we have gone anywhere? Hang on. We have to try it. Pick a transport code. Let's try the Sorolans. It's either going to be a game over or it's actually going to work. That's a game over. Wow. Having entered the wrong alien prefix code, Agent 5 found himself surrounded by hungry aliens who had just placed an order for Kung Pao chicken. Although they had never tried that dish before, they liked how it was crunchy on the outside and soft in the middle. Yeah, that's the Sorolan homeworld who thought that. So I guess we don't get a different one of these for every species, huh? It does look uniquely Sorolan, so I was apt to believe it. All right. Tom, I think we all want Chinese food now. This isn't the first Journeyman Project game where you can get a game over by transporting somewhere random that isn't relevant right before the end game. Okay, so again, we can't interact with this. Not that I can see, and that really is a shame. What do you think it does? What's out there? Do we put something in the organic matter pods? How do we use them?
Transporter pod set for inorganic matter only.
Our jumping biochip is still gone. Can we leave something in here then? I thought what we were going to do is send the explosive charge to the Kryn homeworld. I'm guessing we're still going to use the explosive charge. Again, a Journeyman project tradition, it would seem. Or maybe you can choose between the charge and the Geno Andrews single. Oh, we still have the blocks too, that's pretty cool. Maybe we can finally get some batteries for the remote. What do we do? Do we try pressing this? I guess we could. Depends on if you want Gandhi points. Does it though? So it seems like this will kill us. Yeah, we're dead. Agent 5 attempted to use a Kryn transporter without a complete understanding of their technology. The transporter was sent for inorganic matter only, and his jumpsuit was transported off him. Oh! We're surviving because we're wearing the jumpsuit. Thank you, Game Over Screen. You were actually a little bit helpful, kind of, sort of. Okay. So it didn't hurt us, per se. It just didn't transport us. Hey. Well, something hurt us, yes. Didn't directly hurt us.
Transporter pod set for inorganic matter only.
So what do we do? What are you supposed to... Are you supposed to be able to press these things? Can we put stuff in there? What is the point of it? Can we change the setting? I don't think we can. Bet he never thought his letter would see this place. Okay, can we use anything with this? Maybe we need to make a Da Vinci wall scaling invention. Yay. Is it finally time for the metal bar? Oh.
Transporter pod set for organic and inorganic matter.
Come on, metal bar. It's your time to shine, man. Was there something we could have brought that we didn't bring? We're using the lens filter. No visible light waves detected. Removal of lens filter not advised. So I guess we can't remove it. That's interesting. Oh, we can go forward from here. Oh man, really? Okay, here we go. Whee! How did we do that? Is there little gravity here? No, wait, the Kryn's world is aquatic. Are we swimming? Okay. Where do we go from here? We can go that way. We can't go any other way. I suppose we go this way. Ooh. Yeah, to me it seems like we're swimming. Is this a good old Journeyman project style choose your own pathway through a long maze thing? Whoa. Sentient beings detected within 20 meters. Sentient beings both ways? Hang on now. Is this a time for the cloak? Woof. I'm gonna say those are Kryn. We used our cloak more than once, ever. You have uncloaked. Friends. Are we safe to go this way now? It looks like we are, but we can't. Well, we could head back. That's not doing much for us. I mean, we could be seeing their backs there. Okay, let's head back. The only other choice I can see is to go and follow them. Do we want to be seen? Maybe we'll need to come back here and use the transporter and use our knowledge of the transporters for something. Okay. Its exact function is unknown. But we're wearing it, and it's not a biochip. Okay, so this area is now... We don't even zoom in anymore. Could we drop something down there? Translate files, evidence, cloak, balcony key. I wonder if the balcony key would work on Kryn large open aquatic spaces. What do we think? Should we go over there? Of course, the key. Alright, let's try it. Doesn't seem like a good idea to me, but I think we're out of options. Whoa! It pulls us through. Hi, guys. Yeah, that's what I thought. While attempting to recover the illicitly obtained time travel components, I guess that's what we're doing, Agent 5 was captured and imprisoned on the Kryn ship. As he was acting without the knowledge of the TSA and his whereabouts are unknown, it is unlikely that Agent 5 or his jumpsuit will be returned to Earth custody. That's the Kryn, all right. Okay. Well, once again, the screen did help us a little bit. It suggested that our goal is to recover what the Kryn have. I guess the Kryn did have it. Please don't tell me this is going to turn out to be a bug. Right. Yeah, I wish I could. I tried it. But I think we want to be clandestine. Maybe we can use the metal bar. Can we drop the metal bar down there? Is there any point in transporting back now that we've seen what we've seen? Our suit does record stuff, doesn't it? Maybe that's the answer. But then we'd have to communicate with the TSA somehow. We didn't really get anything of note.
Transporter pod set for organic and inorganic matter.
Hopefully we get the same destination. There's no entry on humans in the news stories. And we know that going to the Sorolin homeworld doesn't help us. Time for a break? Let's take a couple of minutes, after which point I will await your input. Think things through. Come up with some ideas. See you soon.